Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome back to Not Again. In this opportunity, we'll have a famous, awarded chef, Gaston Araca. Let's go, Gaston. Don't be shy.
Hello, everyone. It is a pleasure to be here and to be able to make them know me a little more.
Hey, Gaston. I need to tell you that I'm a big fan of yours and your food, and I have visited many of your restaurants around the world. My favorite is in your country, Peru. The food and the people are amazing.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that a lot. And my dishes are really recognized.
You're welcome. For me, it's a pleasure finally getting to know you and having an opportunity that I can ask you how it was born into your love for cooking.
It can be said that it started when I was a little boy, seeing my other prepare different dishes and so delicious made me interested and develop a love for cooking from a very young age. I learned to combine dishes supposedly incompatible with the palate, and it was not easy, but my love and dedication to cooking was and is much stronger than my own limits because this I ventured. Imagine create the impossible to the gastronomic field.
Wow. I imagine it was very complicated because your country, Peru, is highly acclaimed and recognized worldwide.
Don't forget that overwhelming competition, please.
Oh, I heard a lot about that since Peru is a country that stands out in gastronomy. I imagine that the competition is extremely tough.
You're not wrong, but even so, there can be no doubt that a visit to Peru is unforgettable.
I completely agree with you, but talking so much about the wonderful and exquisite Peruvian food is making me hungry. Please, someone can bring me a kavashi or at least a fish for him to cook. Okay, but seriously, tell me how you started in this difficult world of cooking, and you said my vocation is to be a chef?
Taking into account what has already been mentioned, let's focus on my indulgences. The stage of my life where I decided to set out to be a chef.
Tell me more about this stage of your life, please.
Of course, I learned in a self taught way, of which I am very proud, although obviously it's not easy to learn to cook, observing from a gap between the door and the wall because the fear that my mother would see me and tell my father.
Did your father disapprove of you being in the kitchen?
That was what my 14-year-old self thought, but it turned out the fear of letting him down, not choosing another career, was mine and not his.
So you could say that he and your mother were one of the people who helped you in your personal growth as a chef.
Absolutely, without their help, I would not be who I am today.
If it's not too much trouble, could you tell us how they helped you?
Sure, my mother was the first to find out my passion for gastronomy and consequently the first to support me.
How is it that she found out that you cooked and wanted to be a chef?
That was a very funny story. Sometimes I would tell her that I had bought food to share with her, and it was fascinated until he discovered I was one of the cooks those dishes, the one that cooked those dishes.
Wow, what an interesting and tender esquitic. And your mother shared together. Also, how did you and your father find out?
Well, after my mother found out and wanted to support me, she wanted me to tell my father, but I was very afraid. Now, he would react the day I found out was my mother asked me to prepare a small buffet for my father's birthday. At the end of the meal, he thanked her as always and praised my mother. She corrected him by mentioning that I was the one who cooked all the dishes. From that moment on, I have no doubts, and he was a great support for both financially and my culinary studies and emotionally.
Wow, thank you for sharing this story with me and the public.
Of course. Don't worry, it's always nice to remember the good times and also how it started in the culinary field.
Of course, I would remember that too if I was a talent like you. Unfortunately, I was not born with them, and I don't have an idea how to fry an egg.
Don't worry, we can all professionally cook and feel like a chef.
That's interesting, but right now, we'll take a quick commercial break, and once we come back, we'll talk about what you meant by that.
Okay.
We're helping our classmates.
Thank you. Aquí ayudamos a quienes les gusta comer postres ricos.
I'm helping my customers.
Sim, muito obrigado. Tchauzinho. Eu estou a fazer isto para ajudar a minha família, comunidade e amigos.
Hi, my name is Marconi Gathers, the health director for the Township of Union. Getting vaccinated is the best way to ensure that we continue to help others in our community. COVID-19 vaccines are safe, effective, and free. So please continue to help your community by getting vaccinated at one of our upcoming vaccination clinics. Remember, together we can help our community.
What are you doing in there?
What's that?
I wouldn't do that. What are you doing? What are you looking for?
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
So welcome back to Not Again. So we left off on how people can cook like a chef. Are you sure that would be possible for people like me who have no knowledge in the cooking field?
Sure, it's not impossible. You only need to have the necessary motivation and team that guide you correctly.
Are you talking about a new project, or am I being too hasty?
I think you have to have a sixth sense, or are you following me? Like you have to have the sixth sense.
Maybe you should close the windows in your house and change the keys to your door.
But I still have an advanced security system.
5023. I found it very romantic that you still use the day of art, your anniversary, with your wife as a security code.
Siri. Siri, can you change the security keys of my house?
Okay. I won't say anything but now. But I still have many questions for you. What about your new project? Would you be kind to tell me about tell you about in the public?
No.
Okay.
Okay, yes, I will tell you. A little more since you're a fan of my food.
You are free to tell me everything you want.
With all that pleasure and happiness, I want to introduce a comment on the opening of my new restaurant that will have its own experience in which anyone without any knowledge of cooking will be able to prepare the best dishes advised by the best international chefs.
How interesting is your new project? Can I even cook?
Of course. Anyone can be a chef in my new restaurant because the main ingredient will be your motivation and the love that you put into doing things.
Amazing. Tell me more about your new project and what was the most intrigued and what is your restaurant called?
The name is Farm to Table because our theme is that we grow our own vegetables, legumes, and greens. We also have our own poultry farms and stables. These animals are not caged as they are all free in our land, and they eat special food which no preservations or fertilizers. They also have a quiet life. Finally, this restaurant is completely illogical.
Everything you were telling me sounds wonderful, and I'm sure it will be an unforgettable experience.
That is what we are looking for, that they never forget that experience and that everyone discovers their inner chef.
I love this new project, but I am most interested in knowing where will it be located?
They will be located in a very popular and well-known place such as New York, but our farms and greenhouses are located 3 hours away.
Wow, great idea. When is the grand opening day? And who will be your first customer?
The inauguration will be on December 6th, at the first client. And it's you.
Are you kidding me? And why me?
Don't worry, it's serious. You will be one of the first guests in the new project.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to be one of the first to live this experience. Who else is invited?
I'll tell you that later.
I think you like the mysteries.
You're right, and I still have much more about the project that could interest you.
Seriously? Do you still have more? And what do we need to know?
What would you think if I told you that the inauguration is going to be documented for the moment we collect the ingredients until they are cooked?
What? So this experience will also be like a TV show?
From my perspective, it is more like a documentary in which the intention is that the public knows and wants to experience this new thematic.
I consider that this new project that you are promoting is very promising, and I hope that it will have the expected success.
Well, thank you very much for your well wishes. There are many of us in this team, and we have been planning this for far too long.
I can't imagine having to keep this project a secret, but I still have a couple more unknowns. Whose idea was this project?
This idea is not from a single person, but from my whole family and my great work of team that has been with me since the beginning in the culinary field.
How did the idea of the restaurant and the innovative thing come about?
The idea arose at a family dinner and with those very close people from my work team. It was all because my cousin burned part of dinner, and then we were laughing and other members of the family. He mentioned that he could be a good chef if someone guides him correctly. Because of that, my other cousin said, Gaston, and why don't you create a restaurant in which the guests are the ones who cook?
Since you are the great Gaston Ocado, did you say, okay, and don't I do it?
Not exactly, but the idea inspired me, and we kept talking about it for a while until my amazing team and I said, let's do it.
So you already had everything, the idea, the family support, and financial support, and most importantly, motivation.
Believe it or not, it was very difficult to get the financial support for foreign sponsors.
Why? If you have a work team that has been with you for so long and also your reputation.
Imagine that everyone must think that by just having the idea, I could make the dream just come true. But it was not easy, of course, and because it's very risky business because we do not have the thematic, we don't have the thematic, and it's not going to be accepted by the public.
Seriously, what were the disadvantages you had?
Well, for one of them is that a large amount of money is at risk and that it was difficult for foreign investors to invest and want to participate in this great project.
How did you convince them to participate?
In the same way I concurred my wife, cooking.
Okay, y'all, we'll take a break and stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Stairs. 4 out of 5 college students suffer from fear of stairs. Whether it be to the first floor, the third, or the sixth, the fear is strong. But we need to stop this. We need to work together and conquer these stairs, step by step. So stop taking the elevator, take a deep breath, and take the first step to a new you.
So, welcome back. What were your motivations for doing this?
Well, good question. I considered that it was the satisfaction of starting with something new and creating an experience that they will never forget.
Awesome. With experiences, can you tell us exactly what you mean?
This more than a restaurant, it's an experience that we want our guests to be a part of.
I understand, but could you give us an example?
Yeah, of course. From the moment you both were with us, you receive a physical and virtual invitation with the address of our farm so you can see the quality of the products we use in the dishes. After that, you will have a very varied menu and which you can choose that what you want to cook. And the next step is that yourself will harvest the foods and that you will use in your dish. And finally, you will have a list of our amazing chefs, and you can choose which one you want to advise and guide you in a preparation for your dish.
Let me tell you, it sounds amazing and like an unforgettable experience.
Hmm. I'm sure it will be. But before our wonderful interview ends, could you please tell us, did you just, you want me to tell you more?
Who else will be the guest at the upcoming restaurant, and why did you choose? Why did you choose them?
I'll tell you why. Well, I'll tell you about the first three that were chosen because I want you to meet the rest of the day of the inauguration.
Interesting. So, in addition to the three that you mentioned, there will be more guests? Do you have an approximate number?
So far, I have approximately 13 people, but I want to focus right now on three that I mentioned.
I won't interrupt you anymore.
First, I will mention is a great friend I have had for years, and it has started in culinary world. Before saying his name, I want to tell you I hope to see you very soon and share in my restaurant in Olovra.
What? I never imagined that. You guys get along so well. I thought that the two of you belonging to the same culinary field would be like rivals.
I will not deny that. At one time, it did exist, and we had to talk many times because although we did not want to have misunderstandings, many times the press distorted our comments and false news was created.
It makes a lot of sense, but how did they become so close to each other?
It all started when it was a contest in which each had to represent their corresponding country. By chance of destiny, we were located in the same hotel. So sooner or later, we had to start a conversation in which started out being very uncomfortable, of course. But later on, it developed so it ended as one of the best conversations I've ever had in my life.
I could have never imagined that you two have a very good relationship and a very interesting backstory.
Yeah, I mean, he's a really great guy, and not only are we really close, but also our families, especially our children, are close.
Great. Could you tell us about the other guests?
Yeah, sure. The next guest is Virgilio Martinez.
I'm impressed. How do you know him?
Well, he was one of my dearest teachers and friends who helped me throughout the process of becoming chef.
May I know what he taught you?
He is one of the best chefs who taught me fusions and how to use them correctly without making this unpleasant palate.
I never knew he was a professor.
He's not a teacher. He made an exception for me so that he can leave his knowledge and that they would value useful Peruvian gastronomy.
I imagine it was because he was already an older person and surely he wants his acquired knowledge not to be lost.
Exactly.
Finally, can you tell us who is the last guest in your restaurant, please?
The last guest is a very dear friend of mine whom I met on one of my trips to Spain with my wife and my children. This is Carme Russ Namada, a specialist in Spanish food. We met because I visited one of our wonderful restaurants that they have in Spain. The reason for the visit was because it was my wife's birthday, and we wanted to innovate with something new. And she was our first choice. That we were in a restaurant. She approached us, and since she recognized us, me and her wanted to introduce ourselves, So from that day, a beautiful friendship was formed in which we visit each other. We travel there each time.
Now, are the visits frequent to this day?
Well, of course, and I look forward to our next visit for opening day at my restaurant, which I'm sure you will love.
Without a doubt. We will all love your creative work in the inauguration of this project.
Well, I think that's all for today. I love meeting, and thank you so much for having me.
Hold on.
What happened?
I know that I will, ask you already too much, but could you give me one more guess, please?
I'm sorry, but I can't tell you more.
Please, one more guess. That's the only thing I ask.
All right, I'll tell you one more. But although I was planning to come up because I wanted to be a surprise, but this next guest is Pedro Miguel. He's a Peruvian who he's a discovered in Peruvian Amazon who has a promising future.
Are you saving that we'll have a special appearance?
I already have it actually, and it turned out to be a great pride for me.
How did you meet him, and why did you make that decision for him to be your apprentice?
Well, every time I travel internationally or nationally, I like to visit places and go to small restaurants to try out their dishes and acquire new knowledge.
Was it on one of the trips that you met him? Please
Yes.
tell me more.
Yeah, I met him in a small restaurant that he has with his family in the Peruvian jungle. From the moment I tried the first dish, immediately wanted to meet the chef. And when I met him, I was surprised to see that, it was he was very young and he had a great talent that, and he should be supported.
Did you identify with him?
And some things we do resemble each other, but he has his own creativity and originality.
I'm so glad to hear that. And what role will you see him in at your new restaurant?
It's a very good question. I'm very excited to tell you that he will be one of the chefs in a restaurant, and I hope that the public supports him and earns everyone's appreciation.
Is it serious? I'm very happy for him, and I hope to meet him very soon.
Of course you will meet him very soon at the inauguration.
After a very entertaining show in which we have learned many things about our dear friend Chef Gustavo, it is time to say goodbye, but first I want to thank you for accepting the invitation to Not Again.
Well, thank you for inviting me, and I had a great time, and I'm glad that we were able to meet each other and have this great interview.
There's nothing to thank. You are super, and thanks for answering all my questions.
Thanks. See you soon.
One more episode that we entertained, and the laughter was not lacking. I hope you had fun, and I hope you look forward to the next episode.
Yeah, I can't wait.
This was Not Again.
See you guys.